Oscar viewership, 26.5 million. Every year, the population of the United States increases and the viewership of the Oscars goes down. Coincidence? I think not. Joining us now on the line is Ann Coulter, best-selling author. Go ahead, Ann. What's your theory on the decline of the Academy Awards?
Well, I'm probably the wrong person to ask because I never watch them. I didn't even know they were on last night until one of my friends called me. He was giving me updates. He's a Hollywood guy, giving me updates about every half an hour on their shout-outs to transgenders and intersectionality. So I gathered from his reports to me that the whole Me Too movement got sort of short shrift, and suddenly it became all about immigrants, more blacks in movies, transgenders, and intersectionality. I don't know what any of that has to do with Me Too, but I guess they don't want people to notice. I never hear about this like Harvey Weinstein type stuff in the country music industry. In fact, in the music industry at all, in the modeling industry, in
well, there's a little bit.
I don't know, car manufacturers of America. You never hear about it in professional tennis. It's pretty much isolated to the one industry that has the ugliest men in the universe producing movies and TV shows with some of the hottest babes in the universe. Well, and an entire industry with zero morals.
Well, Ann, I wanted to start off today by talking about the illegal alien of the week. I think you know who I'm talking about. This is in San Diego. Did you see this story? Andres Avelino Anduega, an illegal alien from Mexico previously arrested on gun, drug, and forgery charges. You say, so why is he being singled out when they're being arrested all the time for that kind of stuff? Well, it's more than that. When he pleaded guilty, he admitted that he assumed the identity of a Texas-born American citizen more than 37 years ago in 1980. Oh. Yeah. Using it and 21 other invented or assumed identities, the illegal alien claimed more than $250,000 of SSI, supplemental security income benefits, over $100,000 in public health care benefits, and separately $12,000 in SNAP food stamps, all while being deported twice, arrested on a variety of felony charges, and traveling between Mexico and the United States with impunity with his fraudulently obtained American passport.
We're a nation of immigrants, Howie.
He was only...
That's all they have to say to this nonsense. I mean, this is the world that has been created by immigration, where you have the open borders, alleged Republicans like Paul Ryan saying that's not who we are, to the idea that we should... we're all set on the third world here now. We can cut that spigot off for a while. So we're just going to keep dumping more and more third world immigrants who rip off our government programs and government assistance, and then Paul Ryan turns around and says, oh, well, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, it's bankrupt. We're going to have to raise the retirement age for you Americans. No, I have an idea. How about stop allowing foreigners to rip off our government programs? And then I think there's enough to go around.
Right. SSI, I know it's different than Social Security, but the money all comes out of the same pot. So this guy is in the country illegally, and he's stealing all this money. And at the same time, people like Chris Christie are going around saying, you know what, we're going to have to means test for Social Security. Well, I tell you what, let's get rid of the people like Andres Avelino Anduega first before we start any means testing. Let's
American test for programs that are intended for Americans.
Right. Let me read you some more.
Americans paid into. And this is a special problem of immigration, because we are intentionally bringing in people from not only extremely backward cultures, but cultures as different from ours as humanly possible. And, by and large, America was always one of the most honest countries. They do these rankings. You can look it up on Google. I haven't done it for a while, but they do rankings of countries by honesty. And it used to be that America was one of the most honest. That's how you can have all these big government programs and don't have to spend 9 cents of every 10 cents or 90 cents of every dollar, looking for fraud and thievery. But we're bringing in people from cultures where it is considered not dishonorable to steal from the government.
Right.
In fact, in some cultures, oh, whoa, that's cool. You ripped off the government for X amount of money. There, as I think I've told you before, in one of the very sick honor-killing stories in that magnificent book, Adios America, that was captured on tape because the FBI was watching the family for another crime. The guy can be the father who murders his daughter with a knife for dating a black boy at high school. He can be heard saying, "Oh, I love America. There's so many government programs to gain."
Let me read you another paragraph here about this guy. He's the illegal alien of the week. Took $361,000 in welfare benefits. The Mexican illegal managed to get a California driver's license, a Social Security card, and a U.S. passport, all the while claiming to be Abraham Riojos, a similar-age Texan later found to be living in Florida and completely unaware that an illegal alien was using his identity to steal hundreds of thousands of dollars from the federal government. You know, the worst thing about it, Ann, is some people don't discover that their identity has been stolen until they get into their 60s and they apply for Social Security and they go down to the office to apply and they're told, "Oh, Mr. Riojos, didn't you already start collecting 5 years ago? And we're sending your checks to Tijuana." You know, I mean, this happens all the time.
Yes, these are serious crimes, and Robert Mueller's worried about Russian bots putting together funny little rallies for and against Hillary Clinton. Yeah.
And, you know, I got another story here, which is a related story. It's from, the U.S. Department of Agriculture. 35,891 food retailers around the country engaged in food stamp fraud. This was from 2012 to 2014. And it says that, privately owned stores, accounted for 100% of all welfare fraud, although they account for only 55% of all food stamp redemptions. So these are.
Wait, I don't understand. What does that mean? Privately owned
that
stores?
That means little convenious stores,
bodegas.
The mom
and pop. Yeah. Well, I could give you another number on that. Put in on Nexus food stamp fraud and the word Muhammad, and your computer will explode.
Of the 35,891 food retailers that were engaged in food stamp trafficking, only 30 out of 36,000 were supermarkets, and only 42 were large groceries. By contrast, 26,000 were quote unquote convenience stores. Convenience stores.
Yeah.
And how about this? The report says, this is USDA, Department of Agriculture, the store violation rate rises in accordance with the level of urbanization. The most rural areas have the lowest violation rate. Huh. What's your theory on that, Ann?
Find the rural areas. It'll change there, too. No, I tweeted this out a few weeks ago. I forget what it was in response to. It may have been some idiot, generally Republican, saying we have to raise the retirement age for Social Security or means test it, what you just said. And, you know, in 20 seconds, just put in food stamp fraud. It's stunning the amount of money that is stolen from our government by people whose, I mean, you kind of can't blame them. They don't come from a culture where it's considered a bad thing to steal from the government.
Yeah.
But it's a big problem for us. They come to America, and we're like a Disneyland for foreign criminals. This is not a kind of crime our investigators, our police, our government is used to having to investigate. We're used to our own kinds of criminals.
Well, you know, they do occasional investigations of these food stamp fraud at these stores, and I remember they did one a couple of years ago here in Massachusetts, and they had these little stores in Lawrence, which has a heavy immigrant population, and most of the fraud they were moving, quote unquote, they were having more food stamp transactions than giant supermarkets in the suburbs. You know,
yeah, it'll take the government like 7 years to notice that.
Right. Right. Exactly.
That's what I noticed about on one of the, I think it was a Medicare scam that was written up in the New York Times a few years ago. I assume I put it in Adios America. But it's this home health aid business. They sign up all these people and claim they're sending home health aids. Usually there's not even a storefront where you go and get the home health aid. They're going to homes that don't exist. And in this New York Times report on it, which, like I say, it was like seven years ago, they said that something like 80% of the claims were coming, more than the entire rest of the country combined, were coming from a single county in Florida. And it took them about 10 years to notice something was wrong. How long do you think it would take, I didn't hear him, but he must be a fine fellow, your UPS guy to figure out if the majority of fraud was coming from a single county in the entire country?
No,
and we're
I know.
including Hawaii and Alaska. No, the government will get around to that in around a decade.
Hey, Ann, my new book about the campaign, you're in it, by the way. What really happened? I worked on the Hillary Clinton. I'm going to send you a copy of the book. Hang on and talk to Grace. And
that's great.
We will make America great again.